Hello, everybody. Welcome to the inaugural Boys of Summer review show. Today, we picked a really good one to review, and that is the Avengers Age of Ultron. And we're going to be reviewing it, and it's going to be with spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, please go watch it, then come back and watch this. My overall thoughts of the movie was I really enjoyed it. I thought it had a lot of great moments. It was a really good movie that was part of the Marvel story arc that continued that overall story in a big way. And I also just enjoyed it as a movie. The comedy was on point, the action was on point. It was entertaining from start to finish. There really wasn't a down point, I would say, in the movie, and I would go see it again. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that, it was highly enjoyable. It was great for people of all ages. In the theater that we were at, there were a lot of children as well as just a lot of people our age, and, everyone got something out of it. The comedy was on par as per all the Marvel movies.
They always have good comedy.
Yeah, despite, what you might have thought of from the trailers, it still felt just like any other Marvel movie. I just thought it was really well done. It had its flaws, and we'll get into that. But
Well, like you said about the Marvel comedy, I really enjoyed it because even with the series trailers they had, it still felt like a Marvel movie. Even Winter Soldier was probably the most serious movie they've had so far, but it still had the comedy. It still felt like a Marvel movie. And this one, from the trailers you said, was really dark, but you watch the movie and it has tons of comedy, and it stays true to a Marvel movie, which I enjoy and respect from them.
I felt that perhaps Joss Whedon rushed through the plot maybe a bit more than I would have liked. I felt like there were parts where I was kind of hazy as far as what was exactly going on. I mean, I pretty much know the Ultron mythos as far as we're talking comics and everything, and I kind of knew where it was going, but I felt like if I was just coming in and I didn't have that same familiarity, I would have been confused at points.
What points would you have been confused at?
Specifically when we introduced Vision into the mix, and just they seemed like they were more so telling us why he would be a danger or why he would be so powerful. They threw in the whole thing an android built by a robot, and but it's you're just telling us that, and we're supposed to just kind of be yeah, okay. It's it really didn't explain until really Thor kind of came in and was this is the Mind Stone, and all that sort. It just seemed like we were just supposed to take it at face value that Vision could be a threat or could be a great asset, and it didn't really ever explain why.
I could see that. I did think they didn't develop Vision enough, but I thought that was a purpose, because I think at the end of the movie, of course, the spoiler, he becomes part of the new Avengers team, and I think that's what we'll get more character development from the Vision in the future. I think this is just supposed to be an introduction, but I do see that. But Vision had some of the best moments, even for he was basically in the movie for just the third act, I believe, right?
End of the second, into the third.
Yeah, and he had some of the best moments in the movie. Correct. Like when he picked up Thor's hammer, to me that was the best moment of the movie. That was the first time anybody in the cinematic universe has ever picked up Thor's hammer, and they made the joke earlier on when they were all trying to pick up the hammer, and he just does it easily, handed Thor. It was a perfect comedic timing, and it just hit right on the mark.
For the first time, we really got to see more of Hawkeye as a character.
Yeah, we did.
I felt like they did a real good job. I especially like his interplay with Quicksilver, as I felt like they did a real good job of bringing it full circle from the opening moments of the movie when Quicksilver actually causes Hawkeye to get hit by a turret, something like that.
Yeah, it was like a turret of a beam or something,
to their rivalry, especially when Hawkeye interrupts Scarlet Witch's bewitching.
Oh, yeah, because he stops Scarlet Witch. He's the only person that knows she's coming.
Yeah.
And then he shoots that bow and arrow. It was in slow-mo, too. He's oh, what's that? And then he just falls.
They kind of had a back and forth. Even once Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch joined the team, they sort of had like a lot of banter back and forth.
Yeah.
To the Quicksilver's kind of, I guess, one of his defining moments and his last defining moment when he actually saves Clint from gunfire. And
yeah, that was a really good. I thought so. I heard some people didn't like that, but I really enjoyed it.
I felt like it was abrupt, and I think what it did most of all was it just kind of was heartbreaking a little bit because I really like the character. I think most people really like the character, how he was done, and just to not be able to spend at least like another movie with him, I felt like that just was kind of a shock to the system.
I kind of thought one of them would die, and I thought it might be Quicksilver.
I'd heard rumors.
I heard rumors, but just the way they were setting up, I thought it. Yeah. And I think the Quicksilver death serves as more of a character building for Scarlet Witch. Yeah. I think they decided to not go with both characters. I think they were like, well, we're going to go with one.
Yeah.
And I think that death is going to be more of an influence in the Scarlet Witch character and let her grow.
Yeah, I mean, for those who might not know, Scarlet Witch and Vision wind up being romantically linked. And I feel like maybe by having her sort of suffer this tragedy and having Vision sort of be this character who's sort of beyond life and death.
Yeah, he kind of is. I don't even know what he is.
Yeah, I mean, he's very wise and he's clearly very caring. I feel like they sort of set up the scenario for him to kind of come in and become a part of her life, and then obviously build on the romance that the comics have established. As far as that we watched the movie with Casey, he leans over to me as soon as the second act starts and they show up at Clint's farmhouse.
Yeah, it was his farmhouse.
He tells me, is this not the exact same scene out of the second act of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? And
I didn't catch on to it during the movie, but once I heard about it, I was like, it is.
Yeah, once I saw it, I was like, it totally is. I mean, it's like they just got defeated by the enemy. They're all broken. The team is down on themselves.
The only thing we were missing was somebody in a tub.
Exactly.
And somebody dumping water on them.
But, they come to a farmhouse not only to hide out, but also to find themselves. You even had a moment where Tony is about to work on a tractor the way Donatello worked on the truck.
The only thing we needed was Nick Fury in the blue smoke.
Exactly. Yeah, like the image. And we actually did have him pop up and preach unity to the team. Slapdashedly, I might have to say. But
Splendor.
Yeah, so I felt like that was just let's just call it, and be nice, an homage on the part of Whedon, but it was probably just straight up ripped off. It felt like he just got done watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles while he's trying to write the second act.
And he was like, second act solved.
Yeah.
I just got my second act.
Yeah. I feel like what I do differently is I would put more emphasis on the Tony Stark subplot that was set up in the very beginning of the first act, when Scarlet Witch, kind of enthralls him and shows him the vision of all the other Avengers dead and Earth about to be invaded by aliens, and just playing up on his fear of failing everyone. I felt like you had the perfect opportunity to do that because Ultron, his power, one of his main abilities is to take control of technology and manipulate it to his whims. And Iron Man, and this has been sort of a tension that has been underscored in other movies, is heavily dependent on technology.
Yeah.
So you have a character that can exploit that in Ultron. The antagonist can exploit that. And so I felt like, for instance, the battle in Wakanda in the end of the first act.
Yeah, I think that is the end of the first, because that's when they all get mind control.
Yeah.
Not mind, sent to the Vision.
Right. Yeah. I felt like instead of just having Tony and Ultron just having kind of like a skirmish outside of the tanker or whatever it was, why not have Ultron disable the Iron Man suit and force Tony to have to watch the rest of the team fall apart or B, even take control of the suit and make him be the one that's aiding in that. I felt like then he's seeing this nightmare realized, and that would kind of be the a really good setup into his sort of character development in the second act, and him trying to reconcile with that nightmare since he actually saw it happen. I felt instead we have that set up, and then it's not mentioned again until he's having his little spat with Bruce about activating Vision. And I just feel like it was a really wasted subplot when you had sort of the stage to really flesh it out. I felt like you could have even had an instance once Vision is introduced, maybe have Vision sort of be the key to helping Iron Man bypass Ultron's ability to control the suit, and I even think, because we got a lot of things, a lot of little Disney sort of cross promotion, the Pinocchio illusions and stuff like that with Ultron, him singing the I Have No Strings song, and everything. You got a lot of that. So even have just maybe something goofy, when Ultron tries to take over the suit, maybe he gets hit with a virus that makes him see that damn little Mickey at the fucking helm of a ship, whistling thing. Just a little tiny shout out, just like how we always have to cram Stan Lee in all these movies. Just have
he is in every Marvel movie. Not just Marvel Studios, in every Marvel movie.
Exactly. So you could just have them, just do a little fun thing like that, just something that would have made kids go ape shit and make, everyone else kind of snicker and be like, oh, I see what you did there. Just something like that. But that's just my thing, and we can talk a bit more about Ultron here in a second. But what do you think?
What I would have done differently is two things. I would have made, like you said, I would have made Ultron more powerful.
Yeah.
In the movie, I would have had him defeat the Avengers more in kind of a smaller settings. I would I would also have the Avengers throughout the whole movie just fall apart gradually. And at the end of the movie, there's the new team with Vision, Falcon, Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, and Captain America, and War Machine.
Yeah.
But I would have it where this would be even a great setup for Civil War. The original team kind of set up Hulk is flying off in that plane.
Right. Tony's
retired. Thor has to go back up, but having more tension between them where they're kind of bickering between each other. And are they going to come back? Which would be a great setup for Infinity Wars.
Yeah.
And Infinity Part 1, but then Part 2 comes and the original team has to band back together to help out with this new team to defeat Thanos, because that's obviously the big bad.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a lot of good and really good for the movie for the way it was going. So those are the two things I would have done differently.
Yeah. And also, just because both of our sort of criticisms kind of stem from the treatment of Ultron, and this might be nitpicky at this point, but just maybe not so many quips, not so much humor.
No, you need to make them a little bit more serious, a little more powerful, more evil.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like, we discussed this, I felt like maybe they were trying to go for a bit of the Joker dynamic where, he is evil. He is evil and insane, but that he also can be a source of sort of a cathartic comic relief kind of thing. I felt like they were trying to tap into that, and I think where it works in a movie like Dark Knight that is so heavy and gritty most of the time, and you need kind of that up boost, and you're not going to get it from Batman. So a villain like the Joker's prime for that. I feel like when comedy is already sort of sewn into the fabric of the tone of all these movies, you don't need the villain to also supplement that. We'll give you our ratings, and the rating system that we have is as follows. Would you pay full price, matinee price? Would you rent this movie in Redbox, or would you just straight out skip it?
Yeah.
So, Jeremy, how would you rate this movie?
I say full price, and I would go pay for it on opening night, opening weekend, and I'm probably going to see it again in theaters. It's just, even though all the flaws, the movie's very entertaining. And I think if you are a Marvel fan and you liked everything up to him, which I'm a huge Marvel fan for the cinematic universe, it makes the movie even more enjoyable.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you. I would say that I would pay full price for it. I would even do a midnight release.
I would too. Yeah, I would do a midnight release for this movie.
I would even spend like $20 on snacks. Get like
It's definitely
a chewed up piece of gum and like a jalapeno or something. A little thimble of water for your $20. But I mean, yeah, it's definitely something where it was a great film experience, and you just had to get in there as soon as possible so nothing would be spoiled for you, so that you aren't missing out.
I totally agree. Don't you think though that now Marvel's kind of getting to the point now where it's kind of becoming they're kind of banking on you watching all the movies, and by watching all the movies, it's every movie's becoming a more enjoyable experience because of that.
I would agree with that.
I think that's really smart. I think they're catering to everybody who's seen them and who's really following it, and it just becomes a more enjoyable experience.
Yeah, definitely.
So, go ahead.
But yeah, guys, that'll be it for this episode. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for next week when we will review Hot Pursuit.
Very excited.
Looking forward to that. So thanks, guys. We're out.
See you.